The church bells tolled that gray morning, their heavy chimes echoing across the sleepy New England town where my grandfather's funeral was held. The pews were crowded with familiar faces, relatives I hadn't seen in years, all dressed in black, but hiding greedy glints in their eyes. My cousins, Jacob and Emily, sat near the front, whispering excitedly to one another, as though they were waiting for a lottery draw rather than mourning a man's death. Grandfather Richard Longston hadn't been an ordinary man. He was a legend in the world of finance, sharp, calculating, and mysterious. Whispers of his fortune were spoken in hushed tones at family gatherings. Private islands, yachts, real estate spanning continents. Everyone speculated, and everyone waited. And now, the waiting was over. After the service, you gathered in the grand hall of his estate. The air felt heavier than the oak-paneled walls pressing in on us. At the center sat Mr. Holloway, the family attorney, a stack of documents before him. Jacob leaned back smugly. Emily twisted the diamond bracelet on her wrist, and I, Lucas, sat silently, already bracing myself to be forgotten. The reading began. Jacob received the Miami penthouse and 2 luxury yachts. Emily was granted the villa in Tuscany and access to a trust fund fat enough to buy her endless jewelry. Their faces glowed with triumph, their hands clasping each other in victory. Then Holloway looked at me, his eyes softening with something like pity. He reached for a small, crumpled envelope. "This is for you, Lucas." The room went silent, and then it erupted in cruel laughter. Jacob doubled over, clutching his stomach. "A crumpled envelope? That's it? Guess Grandpa remembered you were the family charity case." Emily smirked. Maybe it's a coupon for a one-way bus ticket out of town. Their words burned, but I kept my face still. With trembling hands, I tore open the envelope. Inside was a single plane ticket. Destination, Monaco. Departure tonight. The laughter grew louder, filling every corner of the hall. My cousins sneered. "Monaco? What, is he sending you on a pity vacation?" Jacob jeered, but beneath their mockery, a strange chill ran through me. Grandfather never did anything without purpose. I folded the ticket and slipped it into my jacket. Whatever this was, I had to follow it. Hours later, I stood in the bustling Monaco airport, the sounds of rolling suitcases and foreign voices swirling around me. Clutching the worn handle of my duffel bag, I felt a pang of doubt. Maybe my cousins were right. Maybe this was all a joke. And then I saw him, a tall man in a black suit, holding up a sign with my name, Lucas Longston. He didn't smile. Instead, he leaned in close, his voice low and deliberate. "Welcome, heir to the true legacy." The words froze me in place. The man in the black suit didn't wait for me to respond. He simply turned and began walking toward the exit. His steps were slow but confident, as though he had been expecting me all along. I hesitated for a moment, glancing around the crowded terminal. My cousins' laughter still echoed in my mind, their mocking voices ringing in my ears. "Enjoy Monaco, loser." But now, standing in this airport with a stranger who seemed to know more about me than I knew myself, I realized this was no vacation. This was a test. I followed him. Outside, a sleek black Mercedes awaited. The suited man opened the rear door for me. I slid inside, my heart pounding. He sat across from me, his sharp blue eyes studying me with unnerving precision. "Who are you?" I finally asked. He smiled faintly. "My name is Adrian Moreau. I was a close associate of your grandfather." "Associate?" I echoed, skeptical. "Let's just say your grandfather entrusted me with matters others in your family could never understand." His tone was clipped, deliberate. The more he spoke, the more I realized this wasn't just about money or inheritance. This was something deeper. We drove through the winding streets of Monaco, glittering casinos, golden lights, yachts bobbing in the harbor. I should have been dazzled, but all I felt was the weight of Adrian's words. "Why me?" I finally asked. "Why bring me here? Why call me an heir?" Adrian's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. Because your grandfather didn't trust Jacob or Emily. He trusted you. And tonight you'll understand why. The car climbed higher, leaving the bright city below. Finally, we stopped before a towering, wrought iron gate. Beyond it stood a sprawling estate perched on the cliffs, overlooking the Mediterranean. It wasn't the flashy kind of mansion my cousins would crave. It was older, quieter, with secrets buried in its very stones. The gates opened slowly, almost ominously, as if recognizing me. Adrian led me inside. The moment I stepped into the grand hall, I froze. On the wall, above a stone fireplace, hung a massive oil painting of my grandfather. But not the version I remembered. This Richard Longston wasn't smiling softly. In the painting, his eyes were sharp, commanding, almost warning. Beneath the portrait was a single line, carved into the stone in Latin: "Fortune favors the hidden." Adrian handed me a sealed envelope. My name was scrawled across it in my grandfather's handwriting. My chest tightened as I tore it open. Inside was a letter. Lucas, if you are reading this, it means you chose to follow the path few would understand. Your cousins sought wealth they could show off. But you, I trust you to seek what lies beneath the surface. What I left for you is not just fortune. It is power, knowledge, and a responsibility that may terrify you before it saves you. You will want to turn back, but you must not. Begin in the library. Adrian knows the way. Grandfather. My hands trembled as I lowered the letter. I looked at Adrian, who simply nodded. The library, then, he said. The library was enormous, lined wall to wall with books, thousands of them, the air thick with dust and old secrets. Adrian walked straight to a shelf in the far corner and pulled out a heavy, leather-bound volume. With a dull click, the entire shelf S. My pulse skyrocketed. Behind the shelf was a narrow staircase spiraling downward. The air grew colder with each step, my footsteps echoing against stone walls. At the bottom was a steel door. Adrian keyed in a code, and with a hiss, the door swung open. I gasped. Inside was a hidden chamber, lit softly by golden lamps. On a long table lay a collection of documents, maps, and a sleek black briefcase. Adrian gestured toward it. Open it, with trembling hands. I unlatched the briefcase. Inside were files, bank accounts, property deeds, stock holdings, assets scattered across the world. But that wasn't what shocked me. What shocked me was the total figure scrawled across the top page. $3.7 billion. I staggered back. This can't be real. Adrian's expression didn't change. Your cousins got scraps. Your grandfather left them the toys they craved. But you, Lucas, he left you the empire. My breath came in short gasps. Why me? I never asked for this. I don't even understand half of this stuff. Adrian stepped closer, his voice low, steady. Because wealth without wisdom destroys. Your grandfather saw greed in Jacob and vanity in Emily, but he saw humility in you. And that, Lucas, is what makes you dangerous to the people who think they've already won. His words sank in like ice. Dangerous to my own family? Adrian didn't answer. He only handed me another envelope, smaller, sealed with wax. This is the second part of your inheritance. Open it when you're ready. But be warned, once you do, there's no going back. I stared at the envelope, its seal glinting in the dim light. My grandfather's crest was pressed into the wax. My fingers hovered over it, torn between fear and curiosity. At last, I whispered to myself, Grandpa, what did you leave me? With a deep breath, I broke the seal. Inside was a single key and a handwritten note. Lucas, the fortune is one thing, but this key unlocks what truly matters. You will find a safe beneath the study floorboards. Inside lies what I protected all my life, not just for me, but for you and for the world. Guard it well, for others will try to take it. Grandfather. My pulse thundered as I looked up at Adrian. He gave a single nod. Come, it's time. We returned upstairs to the study I hadn't noticed before. The desk was massive, carved from mahogany. Adrian knelt, pressing against a loose floorboard. It lifted, revealing a hidden safe. My hands shook as I slid the key into the lock. The safe clicked open. Inside were several velvet pouches of rare diamonds, folders marked confidential, and one small leather journal. I picked up the journal and opened it. My breath caught. It wasn't just financial records. It was names. Politicians, CEOs, world leaders, notes in my grandfather's sharp handwriting, evidence of dealings, alliances, and secrets that could topple empires. What is this? I whispered. Adrian's voice was grave. This, Lucas, is the true legacy. Your grandfather wasn't just a financier. He was a kingmaker. He held power not through wealth, but through knowledge, and now that power rests with you. I stared at the journal, my world tilting. I hadn't inherited just billions. I had inherited influence, leverage that could shape nations. And in that moment, I understood why my cousins could never know. But secrets never stay hidden for long. The very next day, as the sun blazed over Monaco, I found Jacob and Emily waiting outside the estate gates. Somehow, they had tracked me down. Jacob's grin was poisonous. So this is where the plane ticket brought you, huh? Nice mansion. What's inside, Lucas? A stash of poker chips? Emily's eyes darted past me, sharp and suspicious. Grandpa left you something, didn't he? What is it? Jewelry, cash, tell us. Adrian stepped forward, blocking them. This property is private. Leave. But Jacob shoved him aside, stepping closer until he was inches from my face. You think you can outsmart us, little cousin? We'll find out what he gave you. And when we do, you won't have it for long. His threat hung heavy in the air. I tightened my grip on the leather journal hidden in my jacket. For the first time, I met Jacob's glare without fear. No, I said quietly. You'll never find it, because you wouldn't understand it, even if you did. Emily scoffed, but there was doubt in her eyes. They left, but not without one last venomous look. Adrian placed a hand on my shoulder. This is only the beginning. Guard what you have, Lucas. One day, you'll need to decide whether to use it or burn it. That night, I sat alone in the study, the journal open before me. My grandfather's words echoed in my mind. Fortune favors the hidden. I realize now that this wasn't about yachts or villas or dollar signs. It was about legacy, responsibility. My cousins could have their toys, their fleeting pleasures. What I held was heavier than gold. It was the weight of history itself. And as the Mediterranean waves crashed against the cliffs below, I whispered into the silence. I won't waste this, Grandpa. I'll protect it, no matter what it costs. The firelight flickered across his portrait on the wall, and for the first time, I thought I saw him smile.